Hey guys, welcome back to Postpartum. We are excited to talk about TJ's episode. Jess, do you have any thoughts for us to kick us off?
I have thoughts. It was a long episode.
It was a long episode. I appreciated how much thought he put into his answers.
Yeah, he does that. He's good at that. But there was a lot. I don't have anything right off the bat that I feel like I want to correct or anything like that. I appreciated some of the stuff that he said, but he and I have had conversations about that before, so there wasn't anything that really was like enlightening or new to me. I do want to say though that he's not an angry person.
Yeah, when he was saying that, I was like, "What?"
I've never seen TJ even remotely.
Why are you saying this stuff? I mean, he feels it so deeply, and it's the smallest thing. Like, he will tell me when he feels that way, and I will have seen him do nothing. I mean, nothing, but it's all internal, right? That he's just
like, I feel angry,
feeling this anger or this upsetness or whatever, and he just does nothing about it. But I don't know, he just kept talking about it, and I just was thinking, you making everyone sound like you're a crazy person. But no, I don't know, what did you guys think?
Well, that actually stood out to me too, and I don't remember what I said as if I said anything as a response, but I remember wanting to say, and of course I'm glad you said that because I am an outside party, but I thought he's probably just voicing, like right now he's just voicing what every human feels.
Right.
And I don't know, maybe you can clarify this, Jess, but it kind of sounded like he felt like that was like feeling those things was like a quote unquote sin. Like he just shouldn't even feel those. And I'm like, well,
I know he's
like a lot of
holding
feelings.
himself to this impossible standard of being just the perfect father, which is great that he has that ambition and that goal. And I hate that he uses that, or that he compares himself to that image, whatever it is. 'Cause I'm sure, and especially men, most men have issues with being angry.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And there isn't, I mean, it's a totally normal thing, but it is like something he doesn't like.
If you're a human, you're gonna be angry. It's always like the saying, it's not what you feel, but like what you do with your feelings or something like that, like how you acted out. So I kind of was a little bit puzzled by that. Like, I didn't really know. I was like, well, I don't live with him, so maybe he's different. But yeah, I don't know. He seems like he's pretty true to like how he is all the time. Like, he seems pretty even keel.
Yeah, I mean, he'll lose his temper every
like
once
a human
in a while.
Yeah.
And when he does, he's not like mildly irritated. He's not a passive aggressive person. His mom is very passive aggressive, but I think he and his brother are more vocal about their irritation or frustration or whatever. But
he sounded like he was going to punch in a wall,
right?
Yeah.
And maybe that's how he feels inside, but I don't know.
That's how I feel inside a lot, but I know our walls are still up.
Yeah. So I don't know. He's just great with Jamie, and he loves him so much, and I hate that he thinks just anything bad about himself as a father, because he's a great father. So
I think that's a good testament. All of our husbands have pointed, or I mean, we've seen this in all of our husbands, that I can't remember what you said in your episode, but you, I think, have told me in the past that he has been past years of your marriage like, well, when it happens or whatever, right? He wasn't like putting in his planner or making goals or affirmations or whatever. He wasn't like that. And we've already established that Phil and Eden weren't really like that either, but like that they all love their children so much. And so I think we've said this in past episodes, but if you're an individual who's gonna have a child in your life and your partner isn't sure, then there's a lot of hope. I haven't spoken with anybody who's adopted who has like agreed with this, so I can't speak for that, but in the biological sense, I think that it's almost impossible for a stable individual to not feel that love for their child. And so I think they will increase in love no matter like how much, at least to some degree.
That's one thing that has surprised me a bit since having Jamie is like he'll just come home from work and look at Jamie and just pick him up and cuddle him and just, oh, I love you so much. And it's not a manly thing to do, quote unquote manly. But yeah, it's just surprised me how much he's been attached to Jamie and how much that he loves him and tells him that he loves him and all that stuff. I mean, I knew that he would love our child, but yeah, to the extent that he is now has really surprised me.
Yeah.
And he wasn't ready, but like he said in his episode, you know, he wasn't ready to take active steps for a while. I think he said it was something like 5 years, and that is accurate. For the first 5 years or so of our marriage, I was dealing with a lot with infertility and everything, and we were dealing with a lot financially and just places to, I think we moved 7 times in the first 5 years of our marriage or something. So we just weren't very stable. But I wanted a kid, so we did always have that like contention or underlying issue that we had to work through, where I was like, I want to have a baby now. And he's like, but I don't make any money and we're living with your parents. And you know what I mean? Like
they
it was irrational.
It was
totally
the stars were not aligned.
They were not aligned. They were not aligned. But there came a point, and I think it was probably around the time that we bought our house, that he felt like we had stable income, we owned a home, and it had been such a long time that he had really come around to. So by the time we got pregnant, he had been ready to have kids for a while. And I think that's a big difference between him and a lot of other husbands that we know that have only been married for a year or two. He had 7, 8, 9 years to really transition from a single man to ready to be a father, because I think that takes some time, and some men are thrown into it and some men have time to do it, but it takes time.
Did he voice to you before you got pregnant those things that what you were just describing about his readiness?
Yeah. And as the listeners may have heard in my episode, we were taking pre-steps to starting fertility treatments. We didn't do that at that point, but we were working up to that.
Yeah.
I have a couple thoughts. I think it's important to note that love is not one-dimensional and showing love is not one-dimensional. So on the topic of showing love, Eden is not the same as TJ, I don't think, in that now that Emmett's a little bit older, he does come in and give him a hug, but he's not, especially when he was young, was not one to come and like scoop him up and snuggle him and love that. But instead, he would be the one to say, oh, should we get him a hat so his head's not cold, before we would leave the house. And it was little things like that I would say, oh, that's how you're showing your love for him. And so parents are going to show it different ways. And if your child's father or your, I don't know, your child's son, whatever it is, if they are not showing love in the way that you show love or in the way that you see other fathers show love, that's okay. Their way of showing love is probably just as loving and just in a different way. And also on the topic of loving kids, I think it's so tricky. I just know with mental illness, when I was going through anxiety and depression, a lot of people would say to me, it's okay if you don't love your child immediately. And so I don't know if people that struggle with depression their whole life, maybe they don't feel that love, that burning, that connection, and that's okay too. If you are doing your best to take care of your child, then that's showing them enough love. They'll pick up on that, and that's okay. Because I worried about that a lot. I was like, I want to be a good mom, but I don't know if I'm going to love this baby right now or ever, because I didn't feel love when I was anxious.
Yeah.
I felt super disconnected. I felt, just very much in survival mode, and there was no room for love. And so if that's where you're at, if you're listening to this, just continue doing your best, and that will be enough. And that's the biggest takeaway. And I think that should be the takeaway for TJ too, is that if he's doing his best, that's enough love for that kid. And he doesn't need to worry about feeling upset because he's trying. And that comes with lots of emotions.
Yeah. He has this weird thing where he just doesn't want to do anything that messes Jamie up forever.
Great goal,
Like,
but that's
I know, right?
I mean, it's gonna happen.
Right.
We're all gonna do stuff. Our kids are gonna grow up and be like, oh my gosh, my mom traumatized me so bad.
Yeah.
It's gonna happen. And I don't know. We can like rack our brains trying to figure out all the intricate details of every aspect of their life and how we're not going to mess them up. But chances are, whatever you do is not going to be cool for them when they're a teenager. Like he was talking about, TJ was talking about how his dad went and bought Magic the Gathering. Yeah. And it was, oh my gosh, that was such a sweet, like, loving thing to do. And he was like, oh, Dad, you're embarrassing. And that's how, but imagine the opposite. His dad was like, I'm going to be a cool dad and not embarrass you and not show interest. And then he would have felt like his dad didn't love him.
You just can't win. That's the method.
That is the method of parents.
That's the lesson we all learn.
You sacrifice everything to lose.
Yeah.
That's the takeaway. That's the takeaway of Part of the Mess. Just realize that if you bring children into this world,
now, it'll make it a lot easier if you just start preparing for the end.
You're giving up everything to lose the game.
The perfect analogy I have heard about having a teenager is from Modern Family, where they talk about I don't know if you guys have ever watched it, but
just an episode.
Their oldest daughter, as she becomes a teenager, they say having a kid or having a teenager is like flying a rocket ship, where you're in communication with them as they launch and everything, and then they get, behind the moon and you can't communicate with them at all or whatever. And then eventually they come full orbit back around and then you can talk to them. And that behind the moon part is when they're a teenager. I don't want anything to do with you, can't communicate, everything's horrible. But then eventually they get to a point in adulthood where they come back around. And
that's a really good analogy.
We haven't gotten there yet with my sister. We're anxiously waiting.
She's far
for her
behind. No, maybe not far behind the moon, but
she has parked her rocket ship on the back of the moon. She's opening a summer home.
She's colonizing Mars. Yeah. It's not even the moon. It's Mars.
Exactly.
Oh, you really got off track. It's not part of the plan.
She likes the heat.
I thought it was super interesting when TJ was talking about, I'm sure some listeners will be fired up about the fact that he said, as of right now, raising his dogs was more difficult or having a dog is more difficult than having a child. Woo!
I hate it when he says that because people don't understand what he means by that. And they just think or he's comparing
training a dog.
Right? Oh, training a dog. Right.
Yes.
And I think he even says in there, like, doesn't he say something like, I don't mean to compare it, but I was like, the damage is done.
I know. But for him, it was so good that because I got crouton for him Christmas of 2017. I think
that's right.
Christmas of 2017. So we had her for about a year and a half before Jamie was born. Maybe a little longer.
That was just 2 years.
2 years.
Yeah.
But so, and I got crouton as a puppy. I think she was 8 weeks old, and so he had to, for the first time in his life, take care of this thing. She had to be let outside every 2 hours or she would pee in her crate. She also had massive diarrhea for like a month.
That's right.
So
it
was horrible. And so we had to, he got no sleep and we had to train her, and she would bite because of the diarrhea and the food changes and everything. And we withheld her food for half a day, and that made her like guard food with her life. I mean, anytime there was food nearby, she would bite you if you got near her. So she bit me several times, which he talks about that feeling, that anger feeling or whatever is from a place of protection. And so he would get so mad at our puppy because she bit me and I was bleeding or crying or whatever, because it was in a lot of pain and I was just trying to give her a treat and she bit me, and that was, damaging to my soul. Yeah. I'm trying to reward
this
her. This
thing you want to love you is like attacking you.
So it was a very, very hard couple of months. But Jamie sleeps very well for a baby, and he smiles a lot, and he just, I mean, it is much more pleasant to have this baby, but he would probably have been very frustrated and had a much harder time with Jamie if we hadn't gone through that with Gruta.
Yeah.
Because Jamie's going to take longer to be able to sleep through the night at all times, or be able to, whatever, be potty trained, whatever it is. But for those first couple of months with our dog, it was a nightmare. It was so hard. And so that just set the bar for him, that now with Jamie, it's a lot easier.
Yeah. I would say the opposite. Like, having Sevy was a dream. She still is a dream. She just kind of does whatever, likes to get love and snuggles us at night, and it was a little bit harder. Yeah.
When did you get her, Sevy?
3 years ago. Yeah, 3 years ago this
puppy?
May, and she was 8 weeks old.
Yeah, Crew's great now, but those first couple of months were rough. And we live upstairs, so in order to not have to take her downstairs and out back every 2 hours in the middle of the night, we put a little puppy pad thing out on our balcony. So that was like the only saving grace. So we just had to open the crate door and open the slider door, and then she could go outside.
I feel like he basically experienced what being a stay-at-home mom is.
Yeah, he did. Like, without the nursing, he got
well,
up
there was still
every 2
biting
hours.
going on.
Yeah.
So just different body parts, not the boobs.
That's true.
Right.
Yeah,
I guess that was you that still experienced it. Oh, but he got bit too, right?
Nope, just me.
Oh, no.
Just me. I got bit. I think she bit me 3 times.
Oh.
Yeah, it was, and they were bad bites too. And it was because I was the one who took the things away from her usually. And one time I was trying to train her how to shake. And so I had a treat in my hand, and then I went to go and grab her paw to just give her a shake or whatever. And she didn't know what I was doing. The treat was there and I wasn't giving it to her. I don't know. She just freaked out.
But yeah, everything you're saying, like, checks. I'm like, diarrhea? Yep.
Yeah.
Up every 2 hours? Yep.
Yep. It is similar.
But food, trying to figure out food stuff? Yep. That's all inclusive.
But
with being a
anytime
baby.
he has said that to any parent, they have gotten offended.
I wasn't offended. I just thought it was so interesting that it's such a different experience.
But you have a dog. Parents who don't have dogs get offended. 100%
Oh, yeah.
of the time.
Yes.
100%.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, it's like people who work say that being a stay-at-home mom is easy and that going to work is hard. Yeah. I'm like, you don't know what I go through, so don't try to say that your job, your 9 to 5, where you sit at a desk and type stuff on a computer, is harder than what I deal with on a day.
Right.
You don't know. I've worked a job. You haven't been a stay-at-home mom.
Right.
Anyway.
Yeah, I've done both.
Yeah.
Being a mom is way harder.
Yes, it is.
Yes, I can be in my pajamas, but you get no break.
Right.
No break. At my job, I could get up and go have a lunch break. I could go to lunch for an hour, whatever. I mean, I know a lot of people can't do that, but
Or you can call in sick.
just go to the bathroom
Yeah, go to the bathroom
by yourself
or
and take 5 minutes of me time.
Yeah.
You don't worry about all those people that are on your team falling on their heads
Yeah.
and cracking them up.
I realized real quick the first time I got sick that you don't get a day off.
No.
Yeah.
I was like dying. I had strep throat and tonsillitis and an ear infection. And I'm like, I'm literally feel like I'm dying, and I had to keep taking care of my baby. There's no alternative. They don't take care of themselves. So, and I was in Wyoming, so Eden really couldn't help out either. My parents did help out, but still, they can't breastfeed Emmett, and I didn't have my pump, and they are not the ones that are going to be waking up in the night with him. So, real different than a regular job.
Yeah. I was thinking about not this exact comparison, but I was shopping earlier today for some clothes, and I thought I just had one of those moments that I was so grateful that I get to be home, because I was with my old coworker, and we were just talking about the old job, and like just sort of flashed through my mind, like imagining applying, because they were talking about some hiring like positions opening, and I was like, I can't even imagine. I'm just so grateful. Like, I agree 100% with everything you guys have said, but I just am so grateful. And maybe it's just like, it was like trauma or something. And so I'm like, anything is better. I mean, it's not easier, but in my head, I'm like,
Oh yeah, it's better.
yeah.
I would choose this over any of the jobs that I've had
Yes.
over the last 16 years of my life.
And isn't that
Absolutely.
telling, right? That we would choose,
But it is the
we would
hardest.
choose the harder job.
Yep.
And so I feel like, I mean, that's not to say I'm putting on my serious face now. I know I'm smiling with you guys, but I'm serious now. For anybody who's listening, don't you dare come and tell us, well, then you can't complain. Any males or anybody that doesn't understand, please just nip that little comment away, because I feel like some people would say that, like, oh, you like it, or oh, it's better, so ... And that's like in our episode.
Yeah, like you chose this.
Yes,
So deal. So
yes.
don't bring up any of the hard things because you chose this.
Right.
Well, there are people who choose to run marathons, and they can be proud of themselves, and they may even choose to run another marathon, but it's still hard. It still kicks
Yeah.
their butt, and
They
there's
still
still
are sad
challenges.
during
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. Like
They still poop their pants. Okay. Still happen. They're still messy.
they still poop their pants on the marathon. It's hard.
So I am really grateful that we had the opportunity. And I'm so grateful that I have Cody and Jessica here so close, and that, you know, we're in this development, I guess, this townhome development, that we are in so much close proximity, even though how often are we like, I just want to, at least I say this all the time, I just want a single family home with a garage and a picket fence. Is that too much to ask?
Yes. I'm always like, I want to pick up our neighbors and then just like copy and paste them to single family homes.
No kidding. I know.
With garages.
I know.
I don't want a garage. It would just get filled with junk.
Oh.
I just know it.
I need one to fill with junk. We already have junk.
Maybe you could
needs
just
a
have
place.
like a backyard of like sheds.
Yeah.
a backyard of shed.
Well, it would be
No
nice if you
yard.
didn't have to go
You're
to
on the
backyard.
HOA. Just get everyone get everyone a shed for
The
the
backyards are transformed into sheds.
But I think I can understand, like I was saying the other day, that I wanted a she shed, and I was like, but I don't want to go outside to get to my shed.
You
I'd
need
rather
a-
just
you
go
need
to
a
another room.
covered chicken run from your house to your she shed.
Yes, I feel like it would be so nice. So I have a friend who really likes to read, and she was like, oh, that'd be so great to have a she shed where I could just, you know, hide away and read. And I'm like, I don't know. I think I just want a bed in there. Just
Your
go
kids will
sleep.
follow you wherever
Yeah.
you are.
They'll have
Don't
like
feel like
one of
you
those
can hide. 'cause
bomb
you
shelter
can't.
doors. They'll
A
find a
panic
way.
room, a secret door behind your
Yeah,
bookcase.
yeah, I know. I can see their fingers under like the big metal door.
Mom.
I know. You know, it happens. Like, even though they don't like cognitively understand certain things, like they don't understand what kisses are, hugs are, they don't get correlation. Before all of that, they still find a way to like be magnetized to where you are, the door shut, and their fingers are still under the door at barely crawling level, and they're like, their little faces down there. It's amazing.
I hide in the stairs because we don't do any screen time with Emmett. So when I'm on my phone, I'll like hide places. And because I can hear when Emmett's coming with the stairs, I can hear his little hands coming up or down. And Eden caught me the other day and he's like, you have lost it. You're sitting in the stairs, like crouched over.
Like, this is what it's come to.
Yeah.
It's just Instagram. It's nothing.
Yeah. I'm like, I'm checking my text messages. He's like, you look like a crazy lady.
My gosh, I could never do that because I can't like commit to an activity until I have like enough snacks in place. It's like this obsessive
I was gonna
thing.
say you need a pantry.
Yes,
just a walk-in
exactly.
That's all
pantry.
you
That's
need.
all.
You need a
Oh,
walk-in pantry
yes. But
with
it'd
a
be better if it
lockable
has-
door.
Yeah, or I was gonna say another behind a panic room behind where it has the
Trap
real good
door.
stuff. Yes,
You push on the
exactly.
pantry wall and it flips over.
It'll have all the dehydrated asparagus because my kids decided they don't like asparagus. So it'll have like a bunch.
They'll stay away from that door.
Yeah, exactly.
And on the other side will be all the treats.
Yeah.
So then,
Yes.
we figured it out.
You can
Oh my
justify
gosh.
Phil with building you this so that we can record in there, and then
Yes.
we'll have all the snacks.
Oh
we need
yeah,
for our
that'll be our
recording
recording.
session.
Yes, no kidding. Well, do you have any other enlightening thoughts?
I think that's it for my stroke of genius is done.
Yeah, that was
I don't even think it was
amazing.
mine. Who came?
I don't know.
I
I think it was
Jessica.
cumulative.
We are
Oh,
one
yeah.
at this point, the three of us.
We
I feel
are
like there's some like angelic tone that needs to be.
we have morphed. It is complete.
It's kind of like Captain Planet,
Yeah.
you know. With
It only took 10 episodes.
hey, that's like less than a trimester.
Yeah.
Okay, that's great.
That was a quick transformation.
Yeah. Well, with that, thanks for listening.